I think my party crossed a line of now putting 42 million Americans with their SNAP benefits and making flying less safe and that kinds of chaos and not paying our military. I mean, that was a red line for me that I can't cross as a Democrat. And I think that's been described country over the party. And now that I think that's been the truth throughout it, and it's only wrong to shut our government down. And I'm relieved. But the people now that are going to get paid and fed, and millions of Americans, they're going to be flying now. That's going to be made more safe and restored.
Yeah, we got to talk about John Fetterman because he ain't backing down from the lips. He is not backing down at all, and it is fun to watch this happen. Now, John Fetterman went on the show The View, which it shouldn't be called The View. It should be called liberal propaganda. I don't know. The View. As if there's multiple viewpoints. No, there's only one viewpoint. They all basically repeat the same thing. Even the so-called Republicans on the show, right? They all repeat the same lines all over again. There's no difference of views at all. But anyway, he went on the show, and Sonny Hostin had an issue with him voting to reopen the government, and I want you guys to see his answer to that. But before we get into that, there's a little segment before that I want you guys to see. So with that being said, let's dive in.
Just follow up, is Leader Schumer, in your mind, the right leader for this moment for Democrats?
I'm saying that it's like that's not really my concern right now. It's not like a leadership situation. It is we are living in the backlash of the election. It's been effectively a year now. America decided to put us in the minority. And now in terms of leadership right now, what defines leadership for me? I think that's order and logic and describing people exactly where we're at. And now we were all energized by the election just last week. And now for me, I think it's like, hey, let's take the win on that. And now we know there's a lot of backlash to this kinds of chaos. And now voters are going to respond to more order and the more kinds of not violating our core values to plunge our country into chaos for 42 million Americans. Food security, that's really parts of the essence of kind of people that I fight for. Now we have to be able to disagree on these things. And if you can't, and now as a committed Democrat that vote 90% of the Democratic line, I mean, now like that might be a bigger problem with our party in some way, that a committed Democrat from the most difficult and purple state in the country says, hey, I'm trying to call balls and strikes in the middle of this chaos.
Well, Senator Bernie Sanders said the vote was a horrific mistake. Governor Gavin Newsom called it pathetic and a surrender. Poll after poll found more Americans on both sides of the aisle blaming Republicans. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed the GOP. As you mentioned, Democrats had big wins last week, so you had momentum. Why give in now? Why bring a butter knife?
Before she continues to spout off this nonsense, those weren't big wins. Those were projected Democrat wins from the very beginning. From the very onset of all of those races, Democrats were projected to win. Now, were we hoping, a Republican like Jack Ciattarelli could pull off a win? Absolutely. Were we hoping that somebody as disgusting as Jay Jones would actually lose after it was discovered he said what he said? Absolutely. But from the very beginning, it was projected that Democrats were going to win. So how were those big wins? Explain that one to me. Like these Democrats, man, they keep trying to push this nonsense. Oh, we had such big wins. No, you didn't. You did what you were supposed to do. Now, if that's big to you, well, man, I take that back. Maybe that is big for the Democrats. Maybe that is big for the Democrats, right? They're shocked that they actually held on to what they were supposed to hold on to. Maybe that is big considering where the party is currently. I take it back. That is big for the Democrats. They're shocked that they actually held on to races that they were supposed to win. Number two, I've seen the polls, right? And people weren't blaming Republicans. Unless there were some new polls that came out that I missed, people weren't blaming Republicans for the shutdown. They were blaming Democrats, and rightfully so, because it was Democrats' fault. It's Democrats' fault. You need 60 votes in the Senate to pass. There's only 53 Republicans. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that there's a gap there, right? It doesn't take a genius to do that subtraction, okay? So it's a bunch of nonsense she's spewing right here. But anyway, carry on.
Bring a butter knife to a gunfight. Are you willing to gamble that the GOP will negotiate on health care in good faith once the government reopens? Because if that gamble is wrong, 500,000 Pennsylvanians that you represent, their health care costs will skyrocket if you are wrong. And I believe you are wrong.
Well, first of all, MTG is quite literally the last person in America that I'm going to take advice or to get their kinds of my leadership and values from. And now if Democrats are celebrating crazy pants like that, then that's on them. And now I don't need a lecture. I don't need a lecture from whether it's Bernie or the governor in California, because they are representing very deep blue kinds of populations. And a lot of those things were part of the extreme. And now remember, what really needs to win, the big win, is involving my state and other states and those things. And why have we arrived here after the election a year ago? We got to forget some of the things that cost us that election. Or now for me, it's like, that's why I'm trying to remind people that kinds of the extremism, we can't return to those kind of things and realize we need to find a way forward. And I would like to, rather than cite MTG, I'm going to cite one of the new governor-elects saying that.
Before he continues, I hate to say this, but he's right. He represents Pennsylvania, a swing state. He's like, bro, you guys are idiots. I cannot swing far left. I'm in a purple state. If I go extremely far left, it's going to swing the opposite direction. I need to stay as close to the middle as humanly possible. You guys are trying to force me to do something that's actually going to sink this ship even further. John Fetterman is actually trying to save them right now. And they're over here, oh, well, yeah, how dare you vote to reopen the government, because people's insurance is gonna skyrocket. Oh my goodness, how dare you? And notice, whenever Democrats promise or say that, the sky is falling, it never does. It never does. And I've gone down the rabbit hole of talking about, insurance premiums and whatnot. I'm going to spare y'all from that discussion because I know a lot of you guys have seen those videos already. So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. But none of this stuff ever happens. Democrats, oh, we're going to go into World War III if Trump becomes president. Oh, it's going to be a major recession by the middle of next year if Trump becomes president. Oh my goodness. Eggs are going to the moon. Nobody's going to be able to afford eggs. Look at the egg prices. Oh, my goodness. It's always doom and gloom. Trump is an existential threat to democracy. Black people, you guys are going to be all rounded up and deported if Trump becomes president. Oh, no, you can't. It's just always doom and gloom and fear-mongering every single time. And I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of this nonsense, bro. But anyway, I'm gonna let John Fetterman finish. Let me let him cook.
MTG, I'm going to cite one of the new governor-elects saying that my election is not a green light to continue the shutdown, because I promise you, this isn't a political game. It is viewed by many of us, but the reality is 42 million Americans now not sure where their next meal is going to come from, and because we vote like that. Or people that haven't been paid for 5 weeks now, and that kinds of chaos. Those workers have to borrow more than $500 million, from their credit union just to pay their bills now. So for me, we're in the middle of this.
Senator, I got to ask you to hold up a second.
I got to cut him off. We got to take a break. He's actually making too much sense right now. Take a break. Time out. We got to cool it down. Yeah, okay. Cutting the man off. Come on. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, John Fetterman absolutely exposing the Democrat Party. And I love it because he's actually just speaking the truth. Would I ever vote for John Fetterman? No. But I do respect the fact that he's just out here just telling it out like it is. Like he said, calling balls and strikes. Hey, who shut down the government? It was us. We're the ones voting no. We are. I'm going to, John Fetterman basically said, I am going to do what's right. Regardless of whether or not, it helps the party or blah, blah, blah. I am going to do what's right because what's right is right. And as we all learned as kids, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And you heard Sonny Hostin say, well, people are believing our lies, so why not just keep on going with the lie? These people are sick, man. They will stop at nothing. They will stop at nothing, including blatantly lying to the American people. The same way they did when they told us the border was closed and secure. Blatantly lying to us, telling us that nothing's happening at the border when we can see the videos for ourselves. Getting on camera, telling us that Joe Biden wandering off like a lost puppy and being guided off the stage by Barack Obama were a bunch of Republican cheap fakes. You guys remember that? Like, just blatantly lying to people. I mean, just don't get me wrong. All politicians lie. But, like, blatant lies like that, it's just like, come on, bro. Like, I'm looking at the grass, and it's clearly green, but you're telling me it's purple. That's what that's like. No. The grass is not green. I don't care if you're holding it. I don't care if you're looking at it. It's not green. I'm telling you it's green. I'm telling you it's not green. Believe me, don't believe your own eyes. It's just like, come on, bro. The grass is purple. I promise you. It's like, wait, what? Bro, I'm watching people pour across the board. No, they're not. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. Goodness gracious. I don't know how anybody continues to vote for that party, bro. I really don't. But shout out to John Fetterman, man, for standing up to the nonsense. I absolutely love it. But as always, y'all get in the comments and let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Thanks for tuning in. As always, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you are done with these liberals out here in these streets. All right? Stay safe. Peace and love. I'm out.